What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Rewire. This is Chris, and I got some exciting news. Some really exciting news. I am going to take you on a journey with me. It's going to be an exciting one. So, here's what's going down. I'm starting this new video series. It's going to be called Losing Weight Mindfully, as you may have noticed in the title. This video right here is going to be a little bit longer, but bear with me, okay? So, what happened was, I was listening to a podcast the other day with this guy named Judson Brewer, right? And this guy is a guy who found meditation and mindfulness like most people do. And he was in the middle of med school, right? And he completely switched what he was doing and started specializing in psychiatry. So he got his PhD in psychiatry while also blending in mindfulness and meditation. And what he noticed is, even though mindfulness and meditation comes from Buddhist roots, you don't necessarily have to be a Buddhist. But what he noticed was that all of these things around Buddhism kind of involved addiction. So he started specializing in addiction, right? So this guy is right up my alley. He specializes in addiction and mindfulness, and he really sees kind of what I saw, but he saw it first, that, addiction and the way we kind of relate to our own feelings and our experience with the world, they all kind of go in hand, right? So this guy's a really smart dude. Now, on the other side of it, just backtrack a little bit. I started going to the gym, right? I don't know if any of you noticed, but I'm a little hefty, right? My hair's a little messed up because I actually just got back from the gym. I started going to the gym a while back, maybe it was kind of around like Thanksgiving time, okay? And like most people, I was loving it. I was hitting it hard. I was going. I became addicted to the scale. That's terrible if you don't know that already. Getting mad about my results, going up and down, and all this yada, yada, yada. But anyways, recently I've had these, it's been a struggle to go to the gym. Like, I got sick for a little bit, missed 3 or 4 days of the gym, then it was hard to go back, and, I went back a little bit, and then, my life got busy, and it was hard to just schedule time, and all this kind of stuff. And what happens with me, and I'll just be honest with you, what happens with me is, when I stop doing that one thing, then what happens is that I start eating unhealthy again. So, it all kind of goes together with me. So if I'm not, physically trying to be fit, then I'm not really thinking about what I'm eating and shoving down my face, right? So the other day, so here's kind of what I started doing. So just the other day, I made, a point to start going back to the gym again. So here's the first thing that I'm doing. And like I said, I'm taking you on a journey with me. A lot of this is going to be experimentation. I just want to see if it works. But so here's what I started doing. So I had this moment of clarity when I was doing a mindfulness practice. And sometimes what happens, especially if you're any kind of teacher or in some kind of teaching position, I'm not a teacher, but I kind of teach. I do these videos, obviously, and then I teach at the rehab I work at. And sometimes we get in this mode where we're teaching so much that we're not practicing what we preach, right? And any of you teachers out there know what I'm talking about. So every single day I'm telling people, this is how you do this is what the science says, this is how you improve. But then my own personal practice of doing those things kind of lacks. So what I'm saying is that, the whole point of these videos is called The Rewire. And I did a video not that long ago about this positive kind of reinforcement that we give our brains, where when we're feeling good, we need to sit back and kind of sit on it and meditate and be mindful of how good this feeling is. So the first thing I did as part of this experiment was, anytime I go to the gym, I've never, as much of a struggle as it is to go to the gym, I've never felt terrible leaving the gym, right? And if you go to the gym, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you leave, you feel good, you feel fit, you feel accomplished, you feel healthier, you feel like I just did something, right? And what I've been doing is after I leave the gym, I sit in my car, I set a timer for 5 minutes, and I do a meditation, right? I do a 5-minute mindfulness meditation, and, I label my emotions. That's part of what I do in this 5 minutes. I label, I say things like, this is what, happiness feels like. This is what it feels like to be healthy. This is what it feels like to be accomplished, because it's something that, for some of us, it's an accomplishment just to get your butt in the gym, right? So I'm labeling these things, and what's happening is my brain is starting to positively reinforce these things. So what's going to happen is and I'll talk about this thing called a habit loop in a second, my brain's going to start saying, okay, you are getting a good feeling from going to the gym. So now what I'm doing is I'm retraining my brain to start saying, if you want to feel good, maybe you should go to the gym, right? So that's something I'm experimenting with because the science has proven that's how we positively reinforce these types of behaviors. So every time I leave the gym, I've been going 3 days in a row, and I think it's working right now because I haven't felt that kind of crazy, I don't feel like going to the gym type deal. I just go, I get it done, and then I do my meditation afterwards. So I think it's working so far, and hopefully it just gets better. Now, next thing is going back to this guy, Judson Brewer, okay? So he specializes in addiction. He works at, he has a mindfulness clinic at University of Massachusetts, and he specialized in alcohol and cocaine addiction. So what he did was he started toying around with this idea, like a lot of scientists or doctors do. And what he did was he's like, you know what? I wonder if this could work with people who have eating problems, right? And then that worked. And then he says, I wonder if this will work with people who have problems smoking. And it did. He actually has a TED Talk that I will link in this in the comments in this video or in the description. And his TED Talk about how, when he started testing this out and experimenting these practices with smoking, he had as good a results as the gold standard treatment methods. So, and this was just something that he was testing out, but they tested it on hundreds of people or something like that, and it worked. So anyways, what I'm getting at is he actually created an app for eating, and it's called Eat Right Now. Okay, so if you want to join me on this journey, go for it. So I tested it out because I dug what this guy was saying when I was listening to him on this podcast, and he was speaking the language that got me interested in mindfulness in the first place. One of the things that really got me interested in mindfulness was that they were speaking this language of being on autopilot, right? Just going through the motions, going through the day, doing these things mindlessly, right? And me being a control freak that I am, I'm starting to recognize this and say, wow, I just kind of go through the motions of the day without even really experiencing the day. But then he starts relating it to eating, right? He starts saying, how many times do you just pick up food and you just start snacking on it mindlessly, not paying attention to how full you are, how it tastes, or anything like that? We get in this habit of shoveling food, and me being very busy, there's a lot of times I forget to eat breakfast. By lunch, I'm starving. By dinner, I'm even hungrier. And what happens is that I feel so hungry that I just start shoveling food in my face, and then afterwards I feel bloated, I feel terrible, right? I go to the movies with my son a lot, and we'll get a tub of popcorn, and I will just sit there just like this the entire time and just go through a whole tub, right? There's these things that I do mindlessly because I'm not consciously thinking about what is actually happening, right? So he was speaking my language, and he has an app. It's called Eat Right Now, and it's free. So I'm like, okay, what do I have to lose by trying this thing? So I'm going to be reviewing this app as part of it. So what it is, so the very first day that you sign up and you start this program, it's very cool. It kind of guides you through the whole layout and the interface. You can set up reminders and check-ins and stuff like that. I'll kind of dive into that. But it has a whole introduction of videos. The hook he got me with was, he said, this is not a diet. And I'm like, okay, cool, because I'm a picky eater. Diets don't work. And he says, all we're doing is being mindful of how we feel, what we eat, how that feels, also what's triggering these things. So he talks about this thing called the habit loop. Okay, this is something that I often talk about when I'm teaching my classes at rehab, because it's very, it comes from the primitive part of our brain. So this is just real quick how that works. So we get this sensation in our body. It's hunger, right? We find food, right? This is something cavemen used to do. They found food, the brain gets pleasure from it, and it says, that gave you pleasure, it helped your hunger, so it logs that as a memory. So it's saying the next time you have this feeling, go back to that place, get that food, eat that food, you feel better, right? And every time we do that cycle, it's reinforcing this behavior. So the longer we do that, the stronger that behavior gets. Now, what happens is there comes a point, right? And this is where addiction comes in a lot, where all of a sudden we get a negative feeling. Okay, we get sad, we get lonely, we get depressed, we get angry, right? And the brain gets this bright idea, that light bulb, boop, pops up, and it says, you know what? Remember that thing you did, just when you were hungry? Let's try doing that to see if that makes you feel good. So, for drug addicts and alcoholics, that turns into drugs or alcohol. With eating, there's some people who are stress eaters. They eat when they're sad, they eat when they're lonely, they eat when they're angry, right? And what happens is that every time you do that, the brain is saying, when you get this emotion, go find this food and you'll feel better, right? And you start going in that loop. And we keep reinforcing it, right? So part of what this app is teaching us to do through some of the interface is that we're checking in with ourselves throughout the day. How do I feel right now, right? If I start getting hungry, and just let you know, I'm just going to go over the first 2 days. So every single day there's different practices and it kind of progresses. So in the first day, it's kind of telling me like, check in with yourself. See if something is triggering your hunger. Because for a lot of us, we can't separate the difference between my body needs food and I'm hungry because I'm bored, or I'm hungry because I'm sad, I'm hungry because I'm stressed, right? So this is just checking in to say, okay, why am I hungry? Is it hunger or is it something else? Because a lot of us don't take that moment just to analyze where this hunger is coming from, all right? So one of the first videos, the first lesson it does a practice called mindful eating. So I'm always on here talking about mindfulness, and one of the practices is mindful eating. It's probably one of my favorite practices, and I never do it. I absolutely never do it, and it's just because I'm always in a rush when it comes to eating. And mindful eating, just to kind of sum it up, it's really, he walks you through it, and I love how he does it. First, you're just looking at this like small bite-sized item of food. He says a raisin, you can do it with anything, right? And at first, you're just kind of examining it with curiosity, right? The analogy he says is like, imagine you're an alien from another planet and you've never seen this food before. Inspect it. How would you report what this food looks like and feels like and all these other aspects of it to the mothership? And that was really interesting to me. And then you take it and you smell it. What kind of sensations does that bring to the body? And then you place it in your mouth, not chewing it, right? See how that feels. What happens to your body? How does your body react to that? And then you take a bite, okay? You notice the flavors, you notice the taste. You're even being mindful of the sensation to swallow, right? And then he asks you, like, pay attention to that raisin going down your throat and into your stomach. And for some of you out there who don't practice mindfulness, this might sound completely insane, but this is what mindfulness is. It's this moment-to-moment awareness. So all they ask is after you do that experiment, all he says is for day one, try to do this at least 3 more times today. Whether you're sitting out at dinner or you're grabbing a snack or whatever. He's like, the first few bites you take, just make them mindful bites, right? And what I noticed was that a lot less food was fulfilling my hunger. Okay, that was one of the interesting things. Now, come today, which was day 2 of it, and I started slowing down and practicing it more. I noticed that these little peanut butter crackers I snack on at work, I started to notice that the crackers don't even really have a taste to them. All I really taste is the peanut butter, right? So I'm kind of, taking in the crackers and just being curious about this experience. I'm taking in these crackers that don't even have a taste, which is extra calories and not really anything beneficial to my body and the fuel I need to survive. So then my mind starts wondering, like, why don't you just swap out the crackers maybe with something healthy? That's something I've never thought of over the months and months and months. I've just mindlessly snack on these crackers while I'm at my laptop working at my desk. I just grab them, I rip open that package, I eat them 2 at a time. But now that I've taken the time to actually do them one by one and do this mindful eating, it's kind of changing the way I'm looking at this food, right? But what else I noticed too was throughout my day, these very small snacks were satisfying my hunger. Um, this morning I was running late. I didn't have breakfast. I went straight in. I did a group for an hour and a half, and afterwards I felt like I was starving. It felt like I hadn't eaten in a week. And I wanted to just leave and do what I do sometimes, to just leave, go grab a snack, like something just like, heavy, like that's breaded, or something that's just going to coat my stomach and fill it, because that's what it feels like, is my stomach is completely empty. But I took the time to just eat slowly and munch on these crackers. And within 3 crackers, that whole sensation of starving completely went away. And that's very interesting to me. And they talk about mindfulness is just, a willingness to be curious, because from curiosity, we gain wisdom. So I'm curious about this. I'm like, wow, like I always thought that sensation I had meant I was starving, but maybe my idea of what starving actually is very far off. So today, the portions I ate were much smaller than what I usually do. So I'm pretty excited about just, continuing to use this app and going to the gym and being mindful about how I feel after the gym, and also checking in with myself throughout the day and how good and healthy I feel. And at the end of the day, you check in too and say, like, did you accomplish your goals? Did you eat healthy today? Like, right? And feeling accomplished, And so I'm going to keep on doing this. And naturally, like if you've been paying attention to this video, if I keep doing these things and just practicing this on a day by day, what that's going to do is break the old habit loop, create a new habit loop, and just by logic, science, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to lose weight. That's just the way it is. But it's about developing this new healthy habit. So I hope this was a good video for anybody who's out there like thinking about losing weight or interested in mindfulness. Like, this is a great way to get introduced to mindfulness and lose weight at the same time. So I highly suggest you check out this app and maybe try some of these things. I'm going to keep making videos. They'll be a lot shorter than this one, just to kind of check in and let you know what I did on this day's practice, how I'm feeling. I'm going to give it about a week or so and hop on the scale, right? Maybe take some body measurements, to get that Coke bottle figure, right? And then I'll report to you on that. But, if this thing works, this is a whole new way to kind of look at, just our relationship with food, and how our bodies are reacting to certain stuff. So I'm excited to try it. I'm excited to look good. Maybe I'll get ready for the summer. But again, that app is called Eat Right Now. And I have it on the iPhone. It might be available on the Android, but check it out. And like I said, I'll be putting a link to Judson Brewer's TED Talk. If you want to check it out, he's a smart dude. All right. Well, thanks for watching this long, and I will see you next time.